This video contains spoilers for ARCANE Season 1 and 2. I like ARCANE a lot, and I like Greek mythology too. So what happens when I spot the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice in Episode 5 of Season 2? Well, I make a video about it, of course. So here we are. I will start by discussing the core topic of this episode, so that later the similarities with Orpheus' myth will be more easy to highlight. Episode 5 is all about the past. Jinx, Vi and Isha dive into the depths under the ground and go back in time to find a person they believed to be lost a long time ago. At the same time, they find again their sisterly bond, which that too they thought was lost. These two elements from the past are linked. In order to bring Vander back, the two sisters need to go back to being actual sisters, so that they can rebuild their family. But it goes on the other way around too. To find their mutual love again, they need to confront the past of their family and reconnect through it. Let's see how this happens exactly. As said, they dive into the underground. Isha is leading the way. I have already dedicated an entire video to Isha's role and symbolism. Here is the summary. Isha is not only a random child adopted by Jinx, but she represents Jinx's past, and in particular her current attempt at reconnecting with her past powder identity. So in a certain sense, Isha comes from the past too. So it is no wonder that she is leading the way ahead of the two sisters in this tunnel. At the start of their mission, a high five between Isha and Jinx lights up the tunnel. The connection of Jinx with her past reveals the way they need to take to retrieve Vander. Isha also decides which way to take at a fork. Her intervention makes the two sisters stop fighting, which is a symbol for them rebuilding their past bond and quitting the present hostility. Isha is also the person who lights up the lantern in the miner's room they find on their way, making all the old belongings of Vander and Silco visible to the sisters. Another symbol for their connection to the past, allowing Jinx and Vi to see better and reconsider some things. The miner's room is a necessary stop in order to find Vander. The sisters, to rebuild their family, must first rebuild their mutual trust and fix their bond. This is what the miner's room challenges them to do. By entering this room, the sisters step into a place stuck in time. They have a tour into the past. They find there not only objects from their late fathers, reinforcing their longing for family connections, but also Vander's letter addressed to Silco. To be honest, I think that this letter of apology on itself is trash. If Silco had found it, I don't think it would have made a difference. However, this letter is very important and effective for the present, for Vi and Jinx. By reading out loud Vander's apology and regretting that him and Silco did not make up, the sisters reflect about their current situation. They too have a broken relationship, but, contrary to Vander and Silco, they are still in time to fix it and avoid the regrets linked to their father. The letter is only signed V, which is short for Vander, of course, but it could be interpreted as Vi's initial too. She could be the one apologizing and reconnecting with her sister. While Jinx reads the letter, Vi is in a position that makes the sisters give each other their back. Then Vi turns around and almost reaches for Jinx, but then she changes her mind and slips her hand into the gauntlet instead, delaying the moment she will truly trust her sister and reconnect with her. After the miner's room, the sisters and Isha find Vander, or rather Warwick. The challenge here again is double, linked to the past and to the present. In order to awaken Vander again, Vi has to choose if she trusts Jinx now. It's another element from the past that intervenes to prompt them to fix their current relationship. As we know, Vi decides to trust Jinx, and Vander's mind is awakened again. And here the flashback starts. Why is Vander's flashback relevant here? The flashback shows some beautiful and significant moments of Vander, Silco, and the sisters' mother, Felicia, together. It completes the picture that the sisters and the audience were reconstructing about the past of their family. The flashback contains all their main caretakers, the biological mother, their first adopted father, and Jinx's second adopted father. During most of the sisters' life, these people they love never got along. but they do in the flashback. It's a love from the past, but new for the sisters, that includes all the people they have ever considered family, and that are now lost. Their biological father is absent, but I assume Felicia represents him too. She represents that side of the family. Moreover, this memory in the flashback contains the first moment that Vander learned about their existence or future existence of Vi. Their strong connection is relevant in this moment because, in the present, outside the flashback, Vi is trying to reconnect again to Vander. And she succeeds, probably because of this strong bond that started in the moment recalled by the flashback. Vander seems to have a stronger bond with Vi based on what we see in the flashback and what we have seen in Act 1 of Season 1. And this is confirmed by the fact that Vi is able to awaken Vander's mind and make it quite stable, while Jinx in Episode 4 was able to awaken it but not to prevent him from disappearing right after. In the following hug of the sisters with Vander, Isha is the last one to join, as if she represented the fixed reconnection to the past, hugging and protecting the rebuilt family. As said, there are similarities with ORPHEUS myth. For those who are not familiar with it, is the story of the best musician of the world who did not accept the death of his wife Eurydice, and therefore went to the underworld, and thanks to his beautiful music he convinced the deities of the underworld to give his wife back to him. But there was a condition. Eurydice would follow Orpheus walking back to the living world, but if he turned to look at her before they left the underworld, she would disappear again. And just a few steps before leaving the underworld, Orpheus can't resist and looks behind him, just to see his wife disappear into the darkness again. There are several versions of this myth, attributing different reasons to Orpheus' decision to turn. Some say he could not resist the temptation to see his wife again, some others that he suspected the deities were tricking him, some others that he turned intentionally because he understood he needed to accept the loss of Eurydice. You can form your own opinion about Orpheus' motivations. One first similarity of this episode of Arcane with the myth of Orpheus is quite evident. Jinx and Vi are descending into a deep dark place to retrieve a loved person from the dead, too. But there is also another thing if we extend our comparison to episode 6 too. They are not able to bring Vander back to the life, just like Orpheus could not save Eurydice. And there is more. The reason is also similar. Orpheus lost Eurydice when he turned to look behind him. Symbolically, this is what happens for Jinx and Vi too. They are trying to fix their current relationship and rebuild their family, not by developing their present situation and building something new, but by going back to the past. They are metaphorically looking behind them. They are searching for past things to reuse in the present. But this can't work because the past is in the past and it can't live in the present. And in fact, it doesn't. Vander, which represents the past family, and Isha, the past powder, can't live beyond episode 6. The sisters looked back instead of ahead of them. The past things they tried to revive were destined to fail. There is one last very peculiar thing to note about the search for Vander. It's framed like a dream, especially if we consider Vi's perspective. Jinx appears to enroll her to rescue Vander when Vi wakes up after being beaten up, drunk, and having hallucination of Caitlyn. At first, the presence of Jinx in her room seems to be an hallucination too. This is how the mission to save Vander starts. And at the end, when Isha and Vander die, Vi is injured and passes away. When she wakes up in episode 8, she is in a totally different place, and when she initially thinks she is seeing Vander again, she is actually seeing Loris. We are led to doubt if she really saw Vander in episode 5 and 6, or if maybe those were a product of her mind too. I don't think that episode 5 and 6 were an hallucination, I think they really happened, but I think it's curious how they decided to frame them as if they were dreams. Because they start when Vi is half asleep and they end when Vi wakes up. My interpretation is that it highlights the impossibility of the mission attempted by Jinx and Vi to save Vander. It was an idealistic dream, then turned into a nightmare, and not realistic at all. More can be said about the sisters' attempt at reconnecting with the past, especially about Jinx. I discussed it in the video dedicated to Isha. Let me know what you think of my analysis of this episode, and if you see the link with ORPHEUS too. Please like, subscribe for more arcane essays, and see you in the next video. Bye!